are going to be very important in the near future. So again, this is a canvas bag, and we're looking at this in Blender with a shader stack, a PBR shader stack, and thousands of photographs to get all of the detail, to figure out what's canvas, what's metal. And we'll go through and look at the zippers and the things that matter. And we'll show you now what those individual components look like. So the capture process splits everything apart. So it's like it goes in, it takes all the data, we calculate all of these different characteristics, and then we split them off into the different representations of maps that work inside of a shader system, inside of computer graphics. And here we go. We're going to do a quick little tour of all the different maps here. And it's really important for objects, because objects based on this have a photographic quality that something that you just sort of an artist creates, it's never going to be as accurate as what you can capture. So the capture process starts there, and we digitize. And then we go on to things bigger. So we've talked about object capture, and we're going to let you look at some of these things and their digital counterparts after this. But when you get into something like an environment, it gets a lot more complicated, because you now have to capture, you don't have the array of lights, you don't have all the tool sets that you have. So we have to think using other tool sets. And for this, we use LiDAR. So I'm going to play this video, and Nolan's going to talk to you a little bit about what you're seeing.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is a whole block in front of John Marshall High School, and we're scanning for this, as you can see by the software, are using Leica. So then we're getting a LiDAR point cloud of the Leica RTC360, and then we're bringing that as a point cloud in, using some of their softwares in addition to our own, cleaning that out, and then using it as the mesh basis for the models and scapes that we will be kicking to virtual production as one of our main deliverables. So as you can see here, just the amount of data that Leica is able to get with LiDAR. Now, so there's kind of two types of, in the industry right now, there's sort of two types of the LiDAR capture. There's more stable tripod-based, where it's just doing, you're doing a full LiDAR capture, and then you're georeferencing them together, and then merging them and going. Or there's actually moving for slam position. So we, for the most part on here, prefer the stable method, just because it is more accurate and you get much better results when you're actually doing point and cleanup. This has what you saw before, even colorized, that was straight out of the scanner. So that's just, we take it out of the scanner, and that's even before we get into the meshing process. There's a charger. So yes, you can see this is just a base mesh based on it. Now, obviously you have to clean up some things like windows, which we'll go through and pull out stuff that is highly reflective or transparent, where the LiDAR might make the capture slightly incorrect.
Yeah, let me say. So when you're using so LiDAR is light ranging and detection, right? And it's laser based. And each of those points that you saw, let me go back one slide just to make it sort of clear. Each of those points that you saw was a laser position that we captured on a tripod. So when you're looking at this, each one of those red dots is a place that we stopped with a tripod with the laser sensor, and we ran a capture. And all of those go into a piece of software that aligns all of that data together, right? So you've got this capture, you have this capture, you have this capture. We have to then make all of that data homogeneous together, and that's what we do in this software. So this particular data set, I think is in the billions of points. I think it's 9 or 10 billion points. And then once we have points, we can, in color of the points, because we're also taking photography at the same time as the laser, right? So we know what color is this point. We also know what distance is this point. And these devices are accurate down to the sub-millimeter at 100 feet. It's very, very accurate data.
So like Eric said, the part two of this is then making sure you do using, hand photography and drone, making sure you get a very accurate and good coverage on photo set data, so then you're able to pull that out and then get texture data for yourself applied on top of it, which is what you can see here. So yeah, this is the actual Leica scan that we did with LiDAR, mesh, cleaned up, and then with the textures we got from our drone passes, and then photogrammetry, reprojected onto it, we do some automatic cleanup, pulling out some shadows so then there's not a massive amount of shadows and you can be able to relight it accurately, and then we're actually able to deliver that to you guys as a set for your virtual environment, escape.
Yeah, so after that, there's a whole cleanup process that has to happen where you take the high resolution mesh, because this mesh, as you can see, is millions and millions of polygons. And we have to distill those millions of polygons down into something that will run in real time. And so we take the high resolution data, we bake it down to a lot of texture data, so the meshes are not as heavy, and they can still carry the same amount of detail moving forward. When we do this, we then move into environments. So this is an environment where we've sort of taken all of those things together. We've taken each individual object has been scanned the way that you saw us scanning the props. The environment was scanned the same way, and we put this together inside of Unreal Engine. So now we have a real-time version that will run in real time. So every single prop, every single object, everything that you see here can now run in real time. So it started out as trillions and trillions of polygons. It ends up getting distilled down, goes through a process, artist cleanup. We then reproject the texture maps, and we end up with a data set that can now run in real time. And that is sort of the basis of what it is that we do. So we start at the small scale with objects into the large scale of environments, and the ability to use it in anything. Even that the fork and the little tray. That was something that one of our artists came in with some lunch one day, and we're like, oh, let's scan it. Everything to us is an opportunity. And so then we repurposed this as a bunker, right? So we had scanned some weapons, and those weapons, we took that same environment and redressed it. So we're redressing the set as an underground gun bunker. And so you can see it becomes really versatile. Once you have a library of materials and sets and environments, you can start world building. And that's really what this is all about, building a library so that we can world build photorealistically.
And then the other thing, because Eric has been mentioning artist cleanup, the other thing that even with the scan data, the reason that the scan data is so important is that you're able to it's almost like perfection and imperfections. So it's all the little things that you don't, even like on this helmet, which is fantastic, but just due to use of, on the set, there's like tiny nicks and dings and stuff like that. So if we model the entire thing, made our own PBR shaders, and then kicked that out, it would look great, but it would inherently not be accurate, and your brain, for the most part, can tell that. It can tell that there's not imperfections, or it's too glossy, or it's not interacting with light the way that it should. It's why that we hit the uncanny valley when we start to do scans of people. So by having that scan data, and even when you need artist cleanup, being able to pull from that as a realistic texture capture, it goes a long way in making everything more realistic. So this is just a big thing, just so it's a deliverable. This is just a 4K texture of the item. And so this is one of the end views of the helmet that we scanned. So this is the same process. We did this last week. We did the full laser scan, did a photometric capture, and then did a little cleanup, and then kicked it out to you guys. So this was definitely one of the cooler projects we've worked on, in addition to the capture marker shield. So yeah. So you can see even like the roughness and the normals. You can see how we were even able to bake down and get normals from the higher poly scans, so that they still do have the use for the bigger thing. So even, Eric, if you wouldn't mind turning to the front, you can even see the massive difference in the white, because it's so reflective when we get all those specular highlights, and it's so glossy as compared to the roughness on the inside, which is more or less like leather felt. So there's a massive difference in types of texture, which is why it's so important to make sure you have that capture. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so when you look at something like this helmet, it's got so many different types of materials on it, and that's really the trick, right? Because we're dealing with a single object that has maybe 15 different glossinesses, types of materials. Some things are metal, some things are not, and so that's where this process becomes really important, because we really are trying to faithfully reproduce every single detail that we can. And in the capture process, determining the different parts of it and how light reacts to it is part of the process. And this is running in a web browser, so it has to run in real time, right, at the end of the day, and it has to look photorealistic. So we separate out the UV sets to be able to res them up incredibly high. So if we want to go as high as 16 or 32K textures per UDIM, we can. And then we also make levels of detail versions of those that go even lower to be able to satisfy real-time applications. So then this one data set can move between like a DCC, something like Maya, Cinema 4D, 3ds Max, work in any sort of renderer because it's got a PBR shader stack. If you need to render it inside of something like Redshift, or if you need to render it with V-Ray, they have slightly different tweaks to the shader, but because we use PBR, we're able to faithfully reproduce this color accurately in any renderer that there is. And so these props are, these particular props are part of history, and they're going to degrade and they won't be around forever, which is why it's really important to capture them now, as well as just use cases of having props at your fingertips that are absolutely photorealistic, because it's really hard. The problem of creating a photorealistic object is very difficult. So we're trying to make that process easy and obtainable for everybody.
It also just makes specifically for props, and this is why we got to talk to ISS, it makes deliverables to full productions for props very easy. So and this is something that Hayden, who we've been working with at ISS, we were speaking about, which is if they're renting the prop and they're either having it crafted by ISS or they're renting it for a specific use, whether it be guns or anything in that variety, also having a 3D model being attached to it and being given with the actual prop itself makes stuff like, if you're going to go into a VFX pipeline, you realize you have to render shots that have these materials and that are in the real-time live-action scenes, you don't have to rebuild it. It's there. You rented it with the prop itself, and it's just usable in that use case, which saves time, money, energy, but also guarantees a level of realism when you're actually rendering out your shots, because you are. And we keep beating beating a dead horse on this one, but it genuinely is much easier when you have the realistic scan to render your scenes on. So you can see this is the Harley Quinn bat. This is from Suicide Squad. This is, I like stuff like this. This is wood. Wood capture is very easy. Makes my job very nice. So yeah, you can see even in the bat, so this actually is a really good example of minute differences in the reflections and roughness, because you can see, even though it's all wood and it's hypothetically all the exact same material, hypothetically it's all the exact same material. Close or not? Sounds good. Okay. So even though it's technically really the exact same type of material all over, you can see the micro details in between the different parts of the wood and everything that you wouldn't be able to just simply create, or if you would, it wouldn't be perfect. Yeah. So then one of our main ones from this batch of things was so yeah, this is the Captain America shield from the first Avenger. So that's the main prop from the first Avenger, the first one. So you can see specifically when we get to some of the leather straps, which is where I was interested in, but you're actually able to capture all of the leather and everything. So you get those minute details with all the every little stitch and every little, buckle and all that, and even the coarse metalwork on the back. So yeah, this is the actual color data. So this is very. This is my tri-mesh. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so something like this is also, it's a bunch of different materials. Now, when they're making props to look like something, but not necessarily function exactly right. So the front of this is spun aluminum. Be careful with touching the top of it. You can be very careful. It's spun aluminum, but the back is actually a composite material. So it's very lightweight, right? But a lot of prop houses or set houses, they make materials look like other materials, so they're not necessarily realistic. This, again, because it's a spun aluminum front and a composite resin back. But then they want to make the back look like it's metal, so they'll do a bunch of tricks to make something look like it's something else. So all of those details we have to be careful to capture as well. And this particular case, because it's got so many different things, and there's a feature in reflectance called anisotropy, and what that means is, like if you look at a record album, all the grooves, it makes the reflection sort of look like a bow tie, I think, if you've ever seen it. So that is something really hard to capture. It requires a lot of different light sources and lighting conditions, and so our capture methods are really tuned into those fine details. I think we're able to open it up. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, well, feel free. We'll be here for a few minutes. Come by. You can look at the props before we put them back under the glass. And we'll show you their digital twins up close and spin them around and give you guys a chance to look at it. All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, Carmel. Okay. Yeah. Right. But that night, she's like, she's always had like, just a long cloud around her. I didn't want to be that guy. You're here until Hey, pleasure meeting you. Oh, no problem, no problem.
There are heavier ones that have like it needed to be a bit more girl.
I've been there, yeah, I've been there.
No, we're still in
I went with my
but now we acquired like some things that were
I like tea. I love coffee. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, I'm going to share the tea. It's okay. I'm going to eat it anyway. Oh, I know that. Yes, I respect that. Yeah, he's How do you know Renee? Oh, okay. Right, yeah. Right, yeah. So when you were Kate, sorry, you're like, I see.
the presentation tomorrow.
Fix the one. Is it the one that's playing right now? The Sony one?
Yeah.
Or no? Different. You can get away with it. Yeah, that's fine. Like, we got the, it was they have a virtual project. Really nice. They were talking about that. I wasn't talking about Stage 15. More about, I made another one. Burbank. Right here. And then the whole city. Another city. I made another smaller show. Yeah, so we just moved last month. So I was talking about that one, not the big one. This is talking about the small one. I like it. I like all of them. Yeah, I prefer the big one, but the small one is more. Yeah, like we're shooting. Just finished yesterday. Fallout. Yeah, Fallout Season 2.
Fusion system booth.
Yes.
I noticed.
It has to, because it doesn't show until 2026. So Unreal Fest maybe 2026. But this year, Orlando. Oh, nice, nice, yeah. Have something. Yeah. It's beer. Oh yeah? I love beer too. You love beer too much? Yeah. You don't see. That's what's really bad. He says, I'm at least right now. I'm like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I know. Somebody. Like say, oh, there's two.
big element of it. Yes, yeah.
Oh my God.
Just the table tennis bat.
But I really want to. I really want to. Put the shield down. Don't touch the shield.
Ram them really hard. See how it works. Jetzt auch mit GPU.
Falsch. Hier ist noch drin. Wo ist er da?
Ist auch Intel. Also ist
Yeah. So put your arm. I'm gonna hold it up. Thumbs up. Go for it. I mean, you can hold it. Get your action shot. Absolutely. There you go. Alright, you ready, Lori? You put your arm through there, and then you're gonna put your right arm through. Yeah, there you go, like that. Yeah. I saw you over there. I was like, no way, you're not gonna touch it. I have to make sure you at least get your picture. Yeah, no problem.
Is this a serious one? Okay, ready? You know what I'm to ask. Is this a serious one? Okay, what's next?
I'm ready for Donald Trump.
You want the bat? You want the bat?
You want the bat or the sword?
Oh, when they...
Something like this.
You can make it your own.
Yeah, like that.
I don't know if you can stretch into that position. That's tough. I can't do it.
I love that. I'm taking video. There you go. Hey, one more video. Okay. All right. She's done. This is for my 401k fund. That's it.
She knew you didn't want any. Right arm. Other one. Yeah, there you go. You're good, you're good.
I heard what you said. I just heard it. What are the poses?
I mean, most people, like, you know, arm forward, they've been, like, trying to ram.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. All right, wait. That's awesome.
I can't stop smiling.
That's awesome. Motherfucking old, tired.
Have you just been walking all day?
Yeah. Most of our stuff is in
I was in West.
Yeah.
I had a couple meetings, went to some sessions.
Yeah.
I just did North real fast. I want to see the Sony stuff.
I said North.
Sorry, North, South.
Yeah,
No, we're South now.
Yeah.
It was
We haven't been.
How was Norris?
It was good. It's just very. I was hoping Sony would have brought some of their holographic stuff, but it was very. It's mostly their cameras.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess at different shows they show different things.
But I was looking at other. But it was good. It was just. I was there and then like. I stopped at a couple other places, but and then I just got a demo of Planar. I don't know if you know they do like their displays. They do like transparent LED.
Yeah, I've seen them.
So I'm doing something with the telepresence hospital, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to find a display.
Yeah.
Planars were like, I mean, displays now are so impressive.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
pretty
You should go to Infocom because that's really the show for LED.
for LED.
Yeah.
Where are you guys off to?
Bed for a little bit.
And it's 7, right? I got the FD.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
cool, yeah. I was going to go to Jackie, but better than, you know. So since I'm here, I would like to face. Yeah. Where are you staying?
Wadara.
Okay.
When NAB puts us up because we're contractors, and they know by now that that's where I like to be. It's a non-whatever hotel. And then I wasn't going to need Shanita because I only had like 7 sessions, but then they doubled it for support. They needed help, you know, so then I was like, well, I need my person.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Have you been here on weekends?
Yeah, we came Saturday.
Okay. You're on like
Yeah, I'm done. Tomorrow's,
Where am I?
Every day is a different.
I
like,
just flew it, so I'm like,
Yeah,
so
every day is a different theme of what's hard. Yesterday was moderating. We had a dinner, we had a cocktail dinner for a cocktail party for Verizon.
Okay.
And then tomorrow is just our panels, so that will be fun. They're all mostly the same.
Yeah, and I wasn't actually a panel there. The sports summit was like everywhere. I was
Yeah.
glad I asked somewhere on the show floor. Yeah, a friend of mine from England speaking, and so
They're all
went to
over.
go, but
I have a lot of comments about how you
someone said there is a theme, but you have to look on like a map, and I didn't.
It's hidden.
Yeah, it's new leadership, and they they just had to do a lot. But yeah, sure.
The West Hall's really nice though, but it's all streaming.
Yeah, it's all it's more infrastructure and startups.
That's where, yeah, the startups. I didn't make it over there yet, but
Yeah, well, that's where tomorrow.
cool. Okay. Well, I'll see you tonight. Okay. Get a good rest.
Yeah, we'll take our naps.
Good meeting you. You too. I'll see you later.
That's what looks great. It's got like fucking. Everybody coming on as well as props, that's all that matters. Besides, okay, so me and Barney, how you doing?
Hey, at your booth to say
So you know what I'll do with them? Barney and I have to bring.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thank you.